Hello, beautiful people. This is Fight Club Hubs. Welcome to another wonderful episode of GVN Live. And holy crap, the lighting is really messed up on my camera. Anyway, I am joined by Emily, Keith, and Mark, and we are going to be talking about E3, and it is off to a really good start, in my personal opinion. So, while I fix my camera here, how about we see what everybody's been up to lately? Let's start with you, Emily. You need to unmute yourself, dear.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. Okay. You see, this is why I don't mute it and I just stay quiet when you do that. You said that right when I was about to take a bite out of my Chipotle burrito bowl, so I'm a little irritated to you, but I forgive you. What have I been up to? I have been playing so many video games this month because honestly, since May into June, there have been so many different games coming out. So I have been good. I have been playing Injustice. I have been playing Tekken 7. I have been playing Zelda, which came out obviously a while ago, but I'm still playing it. I have been playing Street Fighter 2, well, Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Switch, and Mario Kart, and a bunch of different mobile games on my phone. And ARMS comes out this Friday, so I'll be playing that. And I played the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite demo when I got home from work. And Crash comes out at the end of this month. And that's about how I'm doing.
Okay, let's change this up a little bit. What haven't you played?
Yeah.
But no, so what do you think of the online for Ultra Street Fighter 2, by the way? Because I'm really not liking the online.
It is crap.
It is utter crap.
It's not that good. So
I'm lucky if I can get a 3-bar connection with somebody.
Honestly, I went on it once, and then I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll just play offline. So, it's not that good.
And I'm connected. I bought the LAN adapter too. So.
But you know what? But the game is still fun in general. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of fun offline. So I mean, it's just, it'd be nice if it was cool online. But
I just like how you could actually pop the controllers off of the actual side, and it's all like, let's have a battle. If anything, I brought it to work, and it was awesome.
were you like shoryukening your like coworkers?
Absolutely, I was kicking some butt, and then I got my butt kicked, and then it all ended from there. But I came up with a new rule. It's all like, if we have any grievances, everybody plays Street Fighter now. Actually,
it's really funny that you say that because, Rob, you asked me what I wasn't playing. I haven't been playing Street Fighter 5.
Wow, that's actually kind of shocking. So moving on, Mark, what have you been up to lately, buddy?
Packing, getting ready for a work trip that I have to take to Canada. But outside of that, I have been mostly just playing Final Fantasy XIV in preparation for the release of Stormblood technically the early access comes out at the end of this week, but basically for all intents and purposes it comes out next week. And I took some time to play the demo for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. That's pretty much about it at this point.
Okay. And how about you, Keith? What you been up to?
Oh, and Tekken 7.
Oh.
Well, pretty much.
Sorry.
I mean, it's basically Tekken. I hate the story mode with a fucking passion. I really wish that they had stuck to incorporating the goofy beat-em-up mode that they had in Tekken 6.
Did you just say that you hated the story mode in Tekken 7?
It's bad. What do you fucking want from me?
Okay,
Okay, alright, you know what? Can we talk about fucking Super Armor for a second? Super Armor is bullshit.
Bobby and Daddy are fighting again.
You are literally the only person that I have met who thinks that story mode's any good. I'm sorry.
What? Are you kidding me?
No, it's okay to be wrong. Everybody's wrong sometimes. I understand that, but you are the only person I have met that thinks that story mode is any good. If you're talking about the story,
who thinks that story mode sucks.
Everybody I've talked to on Twitter thinks that thing sucks. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, then I don't know who you're talking to on Twitter, but.
Hey, you know the internet's always right. I mean, honestly.
Well, this is my thing. If we're talking about the narrative is fine. If you're talking about the mechanics, It is not a good
You have
teaching
a
mechanism. It requires you to do entirely too much within the confines of its structures that are just not very good. And super armor is dick.
You need to give me a second because I wasn't lying about eating my burrito bowl. So honestly,
Chipotle.
yeah, I know, right?
Hey, got to make your money where you can, people.
Ching ching.
All right, Mark. So here's the deal. You're sitting here and you're telling me that you have a problem with the mechanics in Tekken 7, right?
No, I have a problem with the mechanics of the story mode specifically of Tekken 7.
Okay,
I want that to be clear. Because it basically, for all intents and purposes, I don't like the way it's set up. As a teaching mechanism, it is bad, and other fighting games do a better job of either... Other fighting games in general do a better job of structuring their story modes in a way that they are functionally viable.
Okay,
Either
so
by
are you
putting the
referring to
story
the fact
mode-
that you can push a button and it does moves for you?
No, I'm referring to the fact that even when they put in the option to push a button and it does things for you, the computer cheats like nuts and still makes you repeat battles multiple fucking times in some cases, because that doesn't actually teach you anything. It doesn't
Honestly,
teach you anything functionally useful, so if you can try a combo and the computer will just sidestep it and beat the dick out of you.
I mean, I don't know.
I haven't played it
Moving
yet,
on.
so I feel like I can't even contribute
But honestly,
to this.
I didn't have... The only time I had a problem with what you are referring to was the final boss, and honestly, he was just ridiculous.
Okay.
Which
That-
I don't.
that is part of the story mode.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying, you're saying as a whole. I'm saying the only time I saw that happen was with the final boss in Tekken 7, and that, I will admit, got really frustrating and took a really long time because it was almost near impossible to beat him. So on some sort of level, I understand where you're coming from, but to say that the whole entire story mode completely sucked over some issues with some mechanics teaching wise, I mean, honestly, I haven't even heard that from anybody. You're the first person that I've honestly heard that from. I mean,
I have a serious question for you. And
sure.
I mean this as an honest assessment of where I'm coming from versus where you're coming from.
Okay.
Do you play Tekken competitively?
Does the lighting look really weird in here, or is it just me? Like, I suddenly feel like I'm like Eliza from Tekken 7 and really pale on this webcam, but okay. I have played it competitively before, and I plan on competing it in again, so yes.
I do not. I am nowhere near at the level where I can play competitively. I am fine enough when I've spent some time learning a particular character, but that is not within my wheelhouse.
Yes, but
As somebody who is at the skill level that you are at, I would be surprised if you had legitimate difficulties. I am not that good. I play a lot of fighting games, and I am mediocre at all of them. So what I am saying is that somebody, but as somebody who is within my particularly limited skill set of it, I feel like the objection has merit.
Okay. All right, but see, a lot of fighting games now have like trials and things like that you can do in training mode. So
Sure.
There's a lot of people though who will go into training mode and will go into and do these trials before they do the story mode, and that is their way of learning before they go in. So it's different than other fighting games. So I mean, but I mean, I guess it's, as someone who plays fighting games a lot, being myself, I guess I can understand how the casual gamer might have some difficulty with it.
Not only that, we're talking about the fact that, okay, yes, people are going to go into the training mode and they're going to attempt to learn things. I'm not going to sit down and learn all of the 30, 40, etc. characters and the basics surrounding them in order to do well in this story mode. And they constantly swap characters out on you in this story mode, so you kind of have to know several of them. Like, Mortal Kombat does a better job. Mortal Kombat X did a much better job of slowly integrating the player to how the story would work. It gave you set characters over a set period of time, initially started you off slow so that you could learn the basic mechanics of how the character worked, and then progressively became more challenging by the end of that particular character sequence. Meanwhile, Tekken is constantly swapping you back and forth between characters that have dramatically different playstyles in some cases. So I'm going from Li Chaolan to, I can't even remember her name, the android girl, back to fucking Li Chaolan
Elisa.
to Elisa, to somebody else, back to fucking Elisa. Like, no, you can't just swap from one person to the next. That's not reasonable. And then every single fight has every single fight just about beyond a certain point has you beat an enemy and then they get up with super armor and then you have to beat them again when they can fucking super armor through your attacks. And if you lose the second round where they're super arming through your attacks, you have to do the whole goddamn thing over again. Mortal Kombat does a better job of teaching players within the confines of its mechanics because it makes the assumption that players are not good enough to hang with this.
Well,
Persona 5 and other such games that are based on the Arc System Works system either segregate the story out entirely or allow players to slowly learn in there or even just skip the fights if they just want to see the plot. Like, this is a story mode that was designed by people who assume that everybody is the hardcore and the diehards that are part of the FGC, which I don't understand how Bandai Namco would think that that's a thing. Like, Tekken is one of the more popular franchises out there amongst, like, casual players.
Okay, so first things first, I agree with you that that Injustice 2 has a better story mode. Actually, one could argue that NetherRealm, in general, they know how to do story modes. That's it. Their stories are always fantastic. I don't think I've really ever had a story mode from a NetherRealm game that I haven't enjoyed. So
Mortal Kombat 2009 recently.
I just wanted to say real quick, let's wrap this little segment up so we can get to Keith and get to the rest of the show. I don't want to. I mean, this is a fun debate that we're having right now, but we're kind of like.
Well, if you let me just finish my sentence, Rob, then we could just end this, and I could go back to my burrito bowl.
Burrito bowl.
No, but in all seriousness, I do see where you're coming from, because one thing I did honestly have an issue with was that there wasn't more of a variety in the story mode. So while I enjoyed a lot of aspects of the story mode, I wish there was more variety in characters. I did get annoyed that after I beat them, they came back again, because there were times I did die when that happened. So I do get where you're coming from, and I will say that I wish there was more variety. And you don't even unlock the little. You don't even find out what's going on or unlock what's going on with the other characters until you complete the story mode. And I wasn't sure how I really liked that, because I actually really liked the way they did it in Tekken 6 and in Tekken Tag. So in that regard. So yes, on some sort of level, I understand where you're coming from with some of the stuff that you brought up. I guess I just enjoyed it a little bit better, and I didn't think that it completely sucked regardless of its flaws.
Fair enough. All right.
That's Mark didn't say anything, so I guess we're good.
All right, so Keith, how you doing, buddy?
Well, he wanted to move on, so I thought I'd let him move on.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But yeah, things are awesome right now. So I've just been playing Zelda mostly. It's not so much that I have a huge back catalog of games that I have to do, but I've been doing a lot of personal cool stuff, like little projects that I've been doing and whatnot. And I can't wait for Game of Thrones, so I've been like reading up and catching up on all that too. So it's like a nice balance of everything. And like I said, I was playing some Ultra Street Fighter 2. On the Switch. That's awesome. And I played Mortal Kombat just because I could recently. And that's about it. I've been really just enjoying a lot of stuff that's going on E3. Even like now, I'm still just actually reading stuff, articles, all that other cool stuff to look forward to for it. And one of which I found out, which I messaged everybody, is that Metroid is coming out with a limited edition, which looks pretty cool.
All right. So moving on now, I'm going to not even bother talking about what I've been up to lately, so
It's all right. We're all boring. It's
I'm
okay.
extremely boring. Nobody gives a damn about what I have to say. But anyway, we have quite a good show going on. We're going to be, it's pretty much been planned out for us. It's all about E3. We're going to be talking about, everything. We're going to start off with the talking about the big three, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. They're going to talk about their press conferences, and at some point, we'll probably get around to talking about the rest of the pack. Ubisoft, Bethesda, EA, and whoever else had a conference. I think, right? I think.
Did anybody watch the PC gaming show at all by chance?
Nope.
Nope.
okay. So we're all pieces of crap. It's all right.
Probably.
Yeah, we're not part of the master race. Anyway, so starting off, we had Sunday. We had Microsoft kicking off pretty much E3 weekend for the big three in terms of the big console manufacturers. Microsoft, in my opinion, probably had a rather
lackluster,
but it still had some very interesting highlights. I mean, obviously, at the beginning of the show, they showed off the Scorpio, now named the Xbox One X, coming out with a price point of $500 in November, of course. And one of the first titles they showed off
I don't know why, but...
yeah, one of the first things they showed off was the new Forza game, and they did this by, for whatever reason, let's bring out a giant car, souped-up race car into the stage, because...
It was a Porsche, even though, I don't know. When the hell did E3 become a freaking car show, like you said?
True, but at the same time, you know, booth babes, when did E3 become a show about models? Right?
Since ever.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome.
And then, you know, Microsoft
went
went about tooting, you know, the word exclusivity in a kind of like rather loose way, saying that out of the 42 games they're going to be showing off, half of them will be console exclusive to Microsoft's Xbox One, which, if you look at it, maybe half of those exclusives are more or less timed exclusives, or they're going to be available on PC. But as I was having an argument with a friend of mine, you know, when it comes to exclusive titles, the consoles don't generally factor in, you know, the PC as a platform. So, like, I guess if Ori comes out on the Xbox One, it's considered console exclusive as opposed to its PC release, which is probably going to happen. Let's go around the table. We'll start off with Hugh. Keith, tell us your highlights, your low points, and your meh.
Well, with the Xbox, pretty much is that I honestly thought it was all meh. I'm really not too... I could see where the appeal is with the new system, but I honestly don't think it is worth it. One thing that did take me by surprise, I did really like, but it's going to come out to my Xbox, so it doesn't really matter, is the Xbox backwards compatibility, which is pretty freaking cool, if you ask me. Then I did like... probably the only high point that I really liked about it was Cuphead. Just because I thought that Cuphead is pretty freaking awesome, but I was ready for Cuphead 2 years ago. So that was really about it as far as with Microsoft is concerned. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Like
she makes some interesting points there. I mean, I didn't think of that dynamic at all anyway in the slice until she pointed it out.
Alright.
Okay. I got freaked out. Like, I couldn't see the picture. I was, like, too busy doing my E3 and looking at you guys, but...
Microsoft. Alright. I really mean this as no disrespect to Microsoft, and honest, because, like, I like PC gaming. Honestly, it's really funny, because I like PC gaming, and I like PlayStation, and I love Nintendo, but I'm just not a big Xbox fan. I never have been. But honestly speaking, Microsoft did better last year. I mean, honestly, I guess I could argue that all of them really did better last year, except for Nintendo, but we can talk more about that later. As for Microsoft,
I think they've been down a decline, honestly, as far as even from last year.
They have been. And
Now, since the Xbox One's debut, event, they've been going downhill since.
I get why they wanted to release a new Xbox. First of all, the name is not super creative. Xbox One X. It's a little...
Because the acronym translates to Xbox.
I know it does, but it doesn't. It's like, it's kind of, I don't know. It's just, I guess I guess I just think it's really corny and stupid. But
so does
you know,
that mean the Xbox One S is called Xboss? Okay, that was stupid. Yes.
I have no, what are you freaking talking about? Okay.
Mark just said the acronym of Xbox One X was Xbox, and I just said the Xbox One S or Slim is that called the Xboss.
Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
like I was saying, I wasn't super impressed. I mean, so I didn't watch the whole thing for Microsoft, but I did read several articles, and I looked at a breakdown of everything that they did discuss. I watched a little bit. I watched a couple of videos, and there really didn't seem to be
There's no showmanship.
a lot. Yeah, and what they should have done was they should have focused more on their exclusive games and why their Xbox exclusive games were why you should get them. But they didn't really do that. I'm not really sure why they didn't, but even the games that they did choose, a lot of them just seemed kind of meh. Like, I would love to see Microsoft come out with an Xbox One game that is so phenomenal and interesting that I want to buy an Xbox. And the only game that's come close to that is Killer Instinct for me.
Why haven't you gotten that yet?
Because I tried to win an Xbox. I can't tell you how many ways I tried to win an Xbox. I didn't want to pay the money for it, so I just wanted to try to get one for free. And eventually I gave up, and around the time I gave up on trying to win an Xbox is around the time that they announced Killer Instinct was coming to PC, and I've been saving up for a PC because KI doesn't work on my laptop because it's too big. So that's why I didn't get an Xbox for Killer Instinct, because eventually I will have it for my PC. But honestly, that's just kind of how I feel about Microsoft. I mean, I don't normally tune in, but occasionally I will tune in, and this just seems kind of blah to me. I feel like they missed on an opportunity to try to go in a upward direction instead of a static direction.
All right.
No, they went with the sellout direction, if you ask me.
Well, the thing is, they're so focused on backwards compatibility, and as much fun as that it is, that's what they did last year. Their focus has always been on backwards compatibility. They need to focus more on other games that are going to interest other players and make them want to go back to Xbox. For PS4, I can't tell you how many games I have pre-ordered right now for PS4 and the Nintendo Switch, and now after today, I've just added more onto the PS4 and Nintendo Switch. But I look at Microsoft and I think, yeah, there's not one game that they showed during E3 that makes me want to get an Xbox.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is there was no allure to it, and there's no really good games that they were showing off that you can say that, oh, I want to buy an Xbox for this in particular.
Like I said, I would love for them to do it, but that's me. I just feel like I said they missed an opportunity.
How about you, Mark? What did you think?
I appreciated that they spent their time focused in exclusively on games, on game content. That was a big deal. Where, like, in previous years, they've tried to refocus and talk about other stuff, and it needs to be about the games. It needs to be about the game content. It needs to be about the stuff that we can buy and play on our video game consoles.
Mm-hmm.
I also appreciate that they had some announcements that were interesting for some people as like exclusivity or semi-exclusivity goes. Crackdown 3, obviously, an exclusive release. Black Desert Online, which I don't play that, but I've heard stuff about it. Being console exclusive for them is neat. Another Forza, which is fine. Cuphead has a release date. The fact that they're going to have a version of Minecraft that allows Xbox One and Nintendo Switch players to play together has really neat undertones to it that could potentially allow for Switch and Xbox One compatibility in other games at some point down the road. You know, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is coming, etc., etc., etc. There's stuff that they announced that's interesting. The biggest problems I had with the Microsoft conference is that a lot of the stuff that they announced is stuff that I can play elsewhere, so it didn't help them from an exclusivity perspective. I.e., like, the most interesting game they announced there was Metro Exodus, which I love the Metro franchise, but this is not going to be an Xbox One exclusive release, so I'm not sold on that as an Xbox thing. Anthem, which, I'm interested in. Like, they pushed forward on the Xbox thing Okay, but that's not exclusive. Like it's Sony had more exclusives, Nintendo had more exclusives, Microsoft had a small handful of exclusives. The other major problem I have is basically everything they announced is pretty much going to be exclusive in the sense that it's going to be Xbox One and Windows.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sea of
like
Thieves does
that's
look cool as well.
I mean, sure, but it's. I wish that like Microsoft is going in the direction of we don't care where you exclusively play this game, so long as you're exclusively playing this game on one of our platforms. And I feel like you're undermining the console marketplace. Like I get the impression that maybe Microsoft doesn't really have any intention of going in anywhere with this if Xbox One X doesn't get over.
Well, see, and that's part of the problem. So what started happening was they didn't really have a lot of Xbox One exclusive games, and Xbox One wasn't selling as well because pretty much, if you want to talk about the whole console war thing, PlayStation 4 won. That being said, the games that did come out for Xbox One typically come out for PC as well. And people weren't getting it for the Xbox One, they were getting it for the PC. So now it's like, I don't really know if they want the Xbox One to even continue or if they are just focused now on, whatever you want. If you want to play it on PC, sure, as long as we keep making money. So if you do it on PC, who cares?
No, it's just that it gives you cross-platform compatibility is what their main goal and thing is that if you have an Xbox...
There are people that don't have PCs, but they're hardcore Xbox fans. And whether or not I'm a hardcore Xbox fan does not change the fact that I actually know people who don't like PlayStation or Nintendo. They are diehard Xbox fans who are actually upset with what Microsoft has been doing with the Xbox franchise. So what about them in all this?
Yeah, but here's also the other... Well, it's not so much I'm looking at it from their... not even from that perspective of it, is that they actually had games that they were showing, but they were like 10-second little blurbs. It was just like there was no actual fixation on any one thing in particular for it. But their marketing thing that they're going for is they want you to have an Xbox, but it just so happens if you have a PC, because to play some of these games, you need a little bit more of a higher-end PC. Now, realistically, everybody has a computer, whether or not it's a piece of crap or not, or if it's just very low-end or whatever maintains your budget, stuff like that. They're like, you can also play it on your PC if you happen to have a good enough machine for this, is their way to do it. But mostly is that Microsoft isn't going to talk too much about PC stuff during their shows because there was the actual PC gaming show in itself for it, so they can't really take away something from that. Plus, also, you have Steam, stuff like that, yada, yada, yada.
Okay, so moving on from Microsoft, which let's just say, what's the major consensus, though? Is everyone just like Microsoft was meh?
Yeah.
It was meh.
Yeah.
It was fine. I have no particular opinion on it one way or the other.
Okay, so and what would you say was everybody's highlighted game of the presentation? We'll start with Mark.
Metro Exodus.
Emily?
Meh.
You don't have a highlighted game?
Not really, but...
Dragon Ball Fighter
okay,
Z.
yeah,
Dragon Ball Fighter
you know
Z.
what? Honest.
Yeah, there you go.
It's really funny. It's really funny that you say that because, yeah, I'll just.
She's not interested. And
no, okay. It's not that I'm not interested. Okay, people mistaked my Facebook status and thought I was completely dissing the Dragon Ball Z franchise because I said at the time. Now this is before I saw the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Story trailer last night. Okay, before all that whole crisis happened.
Crisis.
But yeah, we'll get to that. So. Yeah, crisis. I mean, Chun-Li. My baby Chun-Li just needs a little more work on that face. But anyway,
I think everybody's face in that game needs more work.
Well, one could argue some of their faces need more work. The graphics need some work in general. But all I said was that I might be the only one that isn't super hype about Dragon Ball Fighter Z, whatever, and that at the time I was more interested in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Well, you would have thought that I, said that I was planning to bomb everybody's hometown because I actually lost friends on Facebook over it, and they were messaging me saying they couldn't support that type of hatred. I'm like, all right, that's a little extreme.
Did you
Wait,
tell them
what?
to change their hazelnut tampon while
Yeah, no, yeah, I literally lost friends. They sent me a message, and they were like, and I'm like, are you for real? Like, and then they blocked me. I'm like, okay, like, this is a video game. I didn't even, like, hate on it. I just said wasn't super hype. I didn't even say I wasn't going to get it. I didn't even say I didn't want it. Because I literally was thinking about getting it. I just wasn't sure what all the, like, over-the-top hype was about. And instead, people are like, I think you need to apologize to the mass community for your... I'm like, dude.
What?
Like, are you... Yeah, look at my Facebook page. People are, like, commenting on my wall. I'm like... I mean, they were joking, but I'm like, all right, you guys are taking this a little, like, too far. Like,
Anyway.
So,
So,
Keith, I assume
yes.
your game is Cuphead?
Yes.
Okay. So
That and also Ori. Ori kind of took me out of...
yeah, Ori, I was excited when
over.
they showed it. So that would definitely be my my highlight from the Xbox press conference. So moving on, how about I turn the tables over to somebody else? Mark, how about you talk about the Sony... do you want to do it, Emily?
No. I would rather talk about Nintendo first, so go
All right,
ahead.
Mark, could you divulge about the Sony press conference for us?
I mean, I thought the Sony press conference did pretty well as far as what they had to say. They had a bunch of stuff to showcase that was semi-exclusive or completely exclusive. They basically, what the thing that was most interesting was the producer came out at the beginning, the producer came out at the end, but otherwise they just kind of let the games tell the story.
Yep.
So they went into trailers from Call of Duty World War II, the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy, a few of their exclusives, including Days Gone, Detroit, the new God of War that's upcoming. For games that are not so exclusive, Destiny 2.
Hello?
I think it was almost almost all exclusives, honestly. Like, the only things that they had that really weren't exclusives, which I think helps a lot, was Destiny 2, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite,
I don't think Monster Hunter is exclusive.
Monster Hunter World
It's
is not, and yeah, like a lot of the stuff that they had to showcase was pretty damn exclusive. Got they had the various VR games like Elder Scrolls VR, Final Fantasy 15 Monsters of the Deep, which is a fishing game for some reason.
Dude.
I never played Final Fantasy 15. I think I may
Honestly,
have to.
It's really funny because people were complaining about it. They're like, we've been waiting so much for stuff on Final Fantasy 7, and all we get is Final Fantasy fishing. I'm like, dude, it's Square
Final Fantasy
Enix. What do
15's
you
been
expect?
getting,
We're still waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3, and you want to know why all we get is Final
they
Fantasy
had a trailer.
fishing?
They had a trailer for
No,
Kingdom Hearts 3.
They are one step up than what they were at the last D3, but there's still no release date.
No, there isn't going to be, but you never know what they're going to say next month at D23. Apparently,
they said sometime within the next 3 years. They said no earlier than 2018, but sometime in the next 3 years or so.
But anyway,
That's what they said recently.
I also want to note that Square Enix themselves is doing 3 days of video presentations, live letters, and so on. So if they're going to have anything to say about Final Fantasy VII, it's probably going to be during that. They may not, but it's I don't think they were going to do anything with that at the Sony conference at this point. They have their own 3 days of shit where they're talking about different stuff. So, but I mean, it was a lot of exclusive content. Again, Undertale got announced for the console. Spider-Man is going to be an exclusive release for the console. They've got another Uncharted game coming out. It was just a lot of exclusive announcements.
Now, if I just wanted to make a little note, has anybody noticed that not once did Sony mention anything about the Vita?
Undertale's going to be on the Vita.
Okay, that's probably the one thing, but the Vita was pretty much for the whole show, and even some of the pre-show, it was completely absent whatsoever, as opposed to last year when they actually made a presence out of it.
Yeah, I'm honestly not surprised. I feel like they are they are kind of done with the Vita for all intents and purposes. Like, even then, like, they gave it a little bit of lip service, but by and large, they were far less interested in the Vita than the people who are actually developing games for it. Their new baby is the PlayStation VR. The Vita is probably dead in the water for them.
Yeah, that sounds probably about right, because they had a very, and I called it that they had a really, really heavy VR, like E3, very, very heavy. But the games do look interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, it's the only significant downside, I think, was that a lot of what they showed here was also showed at last year's E3, just in smaller, condensed form. So, like, God of War, we got a lot more visual display of it. Spider-Man,
Yes.
we got a larger visual display of it. But these were all games that we knew were coming out last year. Detroit, we got more visual display of, but we knew it was coming out last year. So it's as far as new content goes, you got a few pieces, like the Shadow of the Colossus remaster is
that took me by
remake
shock.
is, that's super brand new. The announcement for Undertale is new, etc. Like, those are great, but a lot of what we saw was stuff we saw last year.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, a lot of the stuff that they did show last year didn't get shown this year. Like, we didn't see any Death Stranding or any
Shenmue 4.
Yeah.
Or Shenmue 3, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that they made. Yeah, no Final Fantasy VII mentioned whatsoever. The stuff that people were hoping to get more info on of some of these, higher profile games, and we just, they got, I guess, they have nothing either new to show to us, or they wanted to showcase other stuff. Like, they wanted to, again, like you were saying, they wanted to make a bigger push on the VR and some of their bigger IPs. Like, I'm actually also shocked I didn't see Last of Us 2, but then again, you got Days Gone and another zombie game, so. Emily wants to talk so badly. Go ahead.
Is it like you guys can just tell when I really want to say something and I'm just trying to keep like my mouth shut? So first things first, you mentioned Death Stranding. We weren't gonna see anything because Kojima said that it wasn't going to be at E3 before E3 happened. So it was never going to, unfortunately, be there. I do have a theory as to why we saw a lot of the same games and we didn't see a lot of huge surprises. Like, last E3, Sony did phenomenal. Last year's E3, I was like, I probably scared my neighbor upstairs because I was like flying like off of my couch. I was excited at like almost half the stuff that they announced. Part of the problem with Sony's presentation was in the very beginning, they had a problem with sound on the stream. Now,
people were
for
saying
me,
that was a Twitch issue, and they were fine on YouTube.
I'm pretty sure it was a Twitch issue, unfortunately, because I spoke to other people that were watching on other platforms and they didn't have a problem. So Twitch was having problems last night, but of course people were blaming Sony for that. There was a lot of lag, but there wasn't actual lag on other streams, so there was that. But I think part of the problem is last year's E3. Sometimes when these game developers have such a great E3 presentation and then they have to do it the next time, the problem is half of those games also are coming out or have come out. Like, for example, yeah, they could show some of the Crash Bandicoot, but it's coming out in a couple weeks, so they want to make sure that they show us more before the game comes out in a couple weeks. Actually, it's like, 2 weeks? As for some other games, they're just not developed yet. I don't feel like they're developed enough yet that they can actually show us anything, and I also think that the ones that are going to be developed eventually, they're going to show us in December at PlayStation Experience. So I think that that's also part of the issue here. Some of them might not have been developed enough that they wanted to show anything. You mentioned VR. That's true. Now, as someone like myself who has a VR,
It makes me want to get one, I'll say that.
like I was overly excited when I saw all the VR games because there really is not a lot right now for VR. So seeing that there's a lot of VR games coming out, that obviously makes me happy, but I can see why people who don't have VR are like, okay, so what about us? In general, I thought Sony's presentation was decent. It wasn't as hype as last year, but it wasn't horrible. I'm still really hype for a lot of the games. I'm super hyped for Monster Hunter, and I'm overly hyped for God of War because I just love the God of War series. So naturally, I'm excited for that. If I had to pick any game I'm the most excited for that they showed, it's God of War. And yes, I am saying God of War over Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which...
That took me by surprise, and it was awesome.
Right. So here's what I'm going to say about that. So out of all the games that they showed in the Sony presentation, that was probably the most disappointing trailer. And the reason for that is, one, we've been waiting for a really long time for more gameplay. I mean, the game was supposed to come out this year. We would expect to see more. Now, that being said, there has been more gameplay shown. In fact, right now as we speak, well, at least as of, 8:30 our time, they were doing exclusive Marvel's Capcom Infinite live streams and gameplay stuff, and they've been doing it all day. So in their defense, they obviously have plans to show more. The problem is the trailer wasn't exciting. A lot of people had problems with Chun-Li's face. There wasn't a lot to it. It was very short. It just didn't give you a lot. So I feel like they could have done a little bit better with that. They called it a story trailer. I think they should have maybe done like a little bit of a longer trailer that included some gameplay and extra stuff in it, not necessarily just story trailer, which leads me to the fact that at the very end there was at least one exciting thing about that. They did release a story mode demo. So while the trailer was a little meh,
I thought it was funny, and I enjoyed the trailer. I mean, I'd like to see Rocket Raccoon with Ebony and Ivory.
It wasn't a horrible trailer. It's just there hasn't been a lot that's come out on it, the game in general, since they announced it. And that's part of the problem. People were waiting for more, and they just didn't give a lot. Now that they've been doing breakdown videos and it's open to the public and a lot of pro players are there playing the game, there's been a lot more coming out about the game online. Also, the demo helps. So I did play the demo when I got home from work today, and I will say that the story mode, it's kind of a nah. It's really
is it?
It's not. Yeah, it was kind of corny. I mean, I really wasn't that super into it. I see what they're trying to do because they're trying to make it like the movies, but I really didn't care much. I was more interested in how the game actually played. The problem is, what they don't tell you is they got auto combos on it, and you have to turn that off in the control settings when you first play the demo. FYI, for those that plan on playing the demo, if you haven't yet, there is a way that you can turn off the auto settings. Otherwise, you could just push X square a bunch of times, and they do these full-blown combos. So if you want to actually learn, yeah, but you can shut it off so that you actually have to do the combos. You can shut it off. It's just that's obviously going to be banned at tournaments, the auto combo. At least I would imagine it should be banned, but what do I know? I mean, I probably know more than the average person about the fighting game community, but I'm just saying. So that being said, without the auto, they definitely changed some moves around, but it actually was exciting for me to play. I liked it. I like the fact that they switched some stuff around, but it still feels like a Marvel game to me. But the graphics need some work. I know that some people could argue. I'm not saying the graphics are bad. They just need some work. This is the first time they're doing 3D graphics like this for Marvel, so they just need to hone in on it a little bit. But according to a pro player in the FGC, a Filipino champ, he said he spoke to Ono at E3 and that they are planning on looking into fixing the animation issues that people are complaining about. So there are people that don't think the game will be fixed in 3 months, but I do know there's a lot of people that were upset and bashing it who are now changing their mind once they see more and play the demo and can get at least a little bit of a feel for the game. So we'll see. But last night it was part of my, well, you know what? I'm not gonna say part of my language. It was like a shit show on my Facebook and on my Twitter about Marvel, and memes about Chun-Li and comparing the game to Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and I'm like, really? So
Can we take a moment to talk about the Dragon Ball Fighter Z thing?
Go right ahead.
Sure.
So here's my thing with that. A lot of people I've seen have been posting the meme about how Dragon Ball Fighter Z is like a better option compared to Marvel versus Capcom Infinite. And this was before we actually saw stuff about Marvel versus Capcom Infinite in depth. This was right after the Microsoft conference.
Exactly.
The fucking Drake thing was all over my goddamn Twitter feed for hours.
Hence why I made the status I did yesterday morning. Like, come on, you guys. Like, it's not. It just wasn't that exciting of a trailer to me. But that's not the point. Go ahead, Mark.
Can we just take a moment to acknowledge that Arc System Works has made 3 fucking Dragon Ball games and none of them were any good?
Thank you.
Can we take a moment to acknowledge that they have made, off the top of my head, 4 additional licensed fighting games, and only 2 of those were any good?
Look,
like, here's the thing. I love the Guilty Gear engine that they're using right now. Did anybody here play Fist of the North Star?
No, I did not.
I did. It wasn't very fucking good.
You're talking about
anybody
the
here plays
Akuno no Ken arcade game?
The fighting game that they made specifically.
That game is broken godliness, sir, and I will not let you bash the shit out of that game. That game
is
will put hair on
pleasing.
Emily's chest.
Well, only if she likes games where one character is dramatically better than all of the others. Sure. I don't know why she would like that, but
I don't.
You know,
Akuno no Ken
because
is a fucking
most
great
reasonable people. It's aesthetically pleasing, but it is broken and it is bad. Did you play Sengoku Basara Double X?
I'm afraid not.
I did. It wasn't very good.
Look, I have nothing against the games that they make, but like I like Guilty Gear. I own Guilty Gear games. I own the most recent Guilty Gear. I love BlazBlue. I love anime fighting games, and I have some of the games that they've made. I'm not going to sit here and say that they haven't made a good game before. They have, but my boyfriend wanted to get this Dragon Ball Z fighting game so bad, and I was like, don't do it, don't get it. And he's like, no, I'm going to get it. And it was one of the older ones. I forget which one. It's like somewhere over there in my cabinet because he played it once. He tried to get me to play it with him. I'm like, I'm not playing this. And he goes, come on. I'm like, all right, fine. I hated it. I thought it was horrible. I played about as much as I could before I'm like, all right, you're on your own. Do you know how many times we played it since that one time? That was it.
Once?
Yeah, that was it. That one time. It's still sitting with our other games that we like barely touch. And I was like, you might as well sell it. So I'm gonna sell it. I'm not gonna sell it. What if I want to play it someday? I'm like, when? It's been like 2 or 3 years and you haven't touched it since that one time. It's just not. So like when I see that they're making a new game, and this is the part that bothers me about it. People are like, oh, it's like Marvel.
What?
All right.
Yes, because the reason they're comparing it to Marvel is because technically they stole some of the components of the Marvel vs. Capcom playstyle, which in my eyes, like, that's not creative at all. That's you trying to, make your own game and try to make it original, but trying to pick something that you think is going to adhere to make fighting game players want to play your game.
Well, here's my thing. I think that Arc System Works develops good fighting games. I do. I'm not personally a fan of BlazBlue, but I understand why people like it. I like the modern Guilty Gears, and I think they're good. My issue is in no way, shape, or form against the mechanics of Arc System Works fighting games or against Arc System Works the developer. However, I do want to note, Persona 4 Arena is the closest thing they have to a newbie-friendly or casual-friendly fighting game, and it still has onerous mechanics. Their games are decidedly made for fans, for the community. A Dragon Ball fighting game could be accessible. It's not going to be like Street Fighter. They love their one move mapped to one button only concept way too much to let that game be a accessible style game. It's just too ingrained into their DNA as a developer. I can't have faith in them that they're going to make it good, even if I like the modern Guilty Gears and Persona 4 Arena, because I've seen too much evidence to the contrary. But even if it's good, it's not going to be like Marvel vs. Capcom. It has the high jumping elements, and it has, you know, the frenetic play style to a certain extent. But that's not what they do. That is absolutely not what they do. It's going to be Guilty Gear with Dragon Ball Z characters in it. And as much as I'm happy that Guilty Gear is a thing that exists for the people who love it, and as much as I think that, you know, the modern Guilty Gear is good, Arc System Works is not the company moving multiple millions of copies of their games. They're just not. Because those are designed for tournament level play first. Casual players are going to hit a fucking wall playing those games. And it's if they ease it back, great, you know, good for them, but either you're going to be in a position where this is going to be something for the Arc System Works fans, which means that it's going to have a certain impassable wall for the casual player, or it's going to be a game that's going to appeal to the casual market coming in from Dragon Ball, and it's going to piss off everybody who loves Arc System Works fighting games. Like, you can't have it both ways there.
But see, that's my point. The way that they were talking online, and I know because I saw some of your tweets, Mark. I know this is really irritating you. The way that they were talking about this game, like especially yesterday morning, like all morning and all day yesterday, was that this was the best fighting game that has ever come around in the whole world, and that everybody was going to play it, and it was better than Marvel, and that they were, oh my god, everybody's like, Capcom is done. They were like bashing Capcom. They were claiming that
Dragon Ball Z game?
yes, they were over the top. Like, they were like, I'm no longer getting Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I'm only getting Dragon Ball Z. Capcom is running, and they're like shaking in their boots. I'm like, I don't think they're shaking in their boots. I think they're doing, like, I mean, they might have lost some money on Street Fighter V, but I think they're, you know, still doing okay. Like, the comments I was seeing was just really over top and ridiculous, and there's no way, like, look, I want the game to be successful. I do. I really want the game to be successful. I just don't think it's going to be successful the way that they're talking, the way that all these players were talking about it being successful. I think they were just excited that I think they were huge Dragon Ball Z fans, and I think they were just excited because it's been a very long time since another Dragon Ball Z fighting game came out. And and because the mechanics were similar to Marvel, it got a lot of Marvel players hype.
That said, can I just say I do have one objection to the way that the mechanics work in the demo for Marvel vs. Capcom. Double down punch.
Okay, but I think are you talking about the DPs being down?
Yeah, that is the thing that Guilty Gear and other similar Arc System Works fighting games do. They have a lot of double down button moves that are anti-airs.
I think if you change the controls off auto, doesn't that go away, or is that permanent?
I didn't actually test that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I only played the story mode once, and I forgot to turn the auto off. So I want to play it again without the auto on. But yeah, obviously the down punch is an issue. Luckily, that's something that they could actually fix in 3 months if they wanted to. If you have the option to turn the auto off and it gets rid of the down punch, that would be fantastic. And just leave the down punch on for casual gamers that aren't really planning on, you know, competing competitive wise. Another thing I was going to mention that I didn't mention about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is a lot of people forget the fact that Capcom had to negotiate a business deal and get a license with Disney, because Disney owns Marvel. And the only reason this game was even able to come about is because Disney shut down Disney Infinity and said, we're no longer making video games, but we will license out all of the characters that we own to game developers if they come to us. Once that happened, the masses poured in, and that's what makes the situation last night and earlier, like yesterday and earlier, so unfortunate, is because they were begging Capcom for a really long time to make another Marvel vs. Capcom game, and the second they found out that Disney was licensing off their characters, they were even more passionate about pushing Capcom to work with Disney to get us the game. That being said, there are people complaining about the characters. Well, think about this for a second. Obviously, we don't know the deals, the business deal that went down between them, but obviously we know that had to have happened. It's the only way the game could have been made because they own the characters. That means Disney probably has a little bit of a say on how the game is made and how their characters are used and which characters, Marvel characters, are allowed to be used. And there's probably a little bit of a reason why it's themed towards the movies right now.
It's because they make money. That's the reason why.
No, it's not just that. If Disney says, sure, we'll let you make this game and use our characters, if you do it like this, well, then they have to listen. If they want to make the game, I mean, they have to try to do the best they can to please the fans and also please the company that's going to license them out the characters. So I think people need to remember. I also think people need to remember this is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. There's a reason why they're not putting a 4 at the end of that. This feels a lot like a filler game to me to try to keep fans happy until they develop Marvel vs. Capcom 4. Yes.
That sounds probably
Also,
not fair.
Turning off auto combos does not turn off double down punch.
Well, then that is something I really, really, really hope they fix by September. Because
Yeah, like I said,
I don't want to do that.
it's definitely a thing I've seen. It's a thing I've seen in Arc System Works fighters, so that may be a thing that sticks around for the long haul. But for now, all Dragon Punches are done. Double Dragon Punch motions are now double down. Which it isn't the worst thing in the world, but I'm not a fan.
No, but I
Well, I just
Like
want to keep the ball rolling. I'm sorry to interrupt here.
No,
but,
I was just my whole thing was
we-
I just think that Disney has a play in some of how this game is developed.
I can agree with
I agree.
that. But,
I agree.
So, but moving on now, Emily, how about you take the reins from here? Let's talk about the Nintendo press conference.
Woo, Nintendo.
Oh, can't wait.
Okay. All right. See, this one has me excited. Okay, so Nintendo. Notoriously known for having the worst E3 presentations. I love Nintendo. I'm a Nintendo girl at heart. They were my first gaming consoles, like handheld ones. My first gaming system was a Game Boy Color and an N64, and I love them. But they are not good at their E3 presentations until this year. I don't know what happens. I really don't. But I thoroughly enjoyed and was engaged in every minute of the presentation I watched. I know they were calling it a Nintendo Spotlight, but it was just that. Not only did they show us way more, sure, they showed us a lot about games that were already coming out, like Super Mario Odyssey. They showed us more of that, which honestly looks amazing, and they gave us a release date for that. Yay. But it wasn't just that. They showed us a whole ton of new games that I didn't even know was coming out. Like another Yoshi game that's coming soon.
Kirby!
And the game that everybody's talking... Oh, Kirby. See? I didn't get to that one
Everybody forgets
yet.
about the pig guy. It's because he's pink.
No,
I got it.
I'm excited about Kirby.
That's racist.
More Xenoblade Chronicles. You got I think that's like a crossover. Xenoblade Warriors. And, of course, Metroid 4, which, of course, everybody was overly hype about. In fact, I saw people posting online that Nintendo won just for that game, let alone later on after that
A game that was nothing more than just a title.
I was about to say, if it's just a title, I would go
it doesn't really matter, though. People, I mean, do you realize how long people have been waiting for a new Metroid game?
Yeah,
I believe
but that's
we had an entire show where we were just talking about why Metroid was the bastard child of Nintendo.
They
last year.
also are releasing another Metroid game on the 3DS. I think it's the third, right?
second.
No, it's the second. Sorry. I was in like a doctor appointment when they did that, so people were just messaging me about it. But all in all, they also announced that they showed us a little more into Pokken Tournament being on the Switch, but they also announced that Pokemon, yes, they are developing a game on the Switch for Pokemon, and
Yep.
I being someone who has played every single gen of Pokemon since the very first one. Yes, I am one of those people. I'm overly excited about the fact that I can play Pokemon on a console. I'm really excited to see where they go with that. So, honestly, it was continuous games. Not only did they show us more on games that we already knew were coming out, but they showed us a lot of new games that are coming out, and they looked really good. I don't honestly think I saw one game that they showcased during that spotlight that I thought, wow, that looks terrible. There were a few that I'm like, I probably won't play that, but for the most part, I
forgot about the Zelda DLC.
I did not forget about the Zelda DLC.
Sure, you did.
I'm still talking, Keith. Yes, they also announced more Zelda DLC. Honestly, I just want the masks. I want some of those masks. They were awesome. They also announced amiibos, didn't they, for Zelda?
Yeah,
all the champions.
Champions.
Like I think Zora is one of them.
Yes, Mifa. Mifa, the Zora. Yep.
And there's a few others in there as well. I don't remember all their names off the top of my head right now. Honestly, you should have seen me trying to, because I was watching it in a car, then I had to pause it, then I was watching it in a doctor's office in a waiting room, and then I was like, then they were like, weigh me, and then I was watching it again trying to finish it. So I was really like all over the place trying to finish it. But all in all, out of all the presentations I've watched, that one had me the most excited, and I have to hand it down to Nintendo. They really pulled off something. Now, for the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, they will be live streaming and announcing more stuff throughout the next 2 days, like a whole bunch of different gameplay and stuff like that. So I really like the approach that they took this year. They didn't try to wow or over the top. They
showed the games, which is what E3 is.
Exactly. They showed the game. They had a few like funny, enjoyable elements in there when like he's like, oh, where did this sword come from, about Zelda when the sword magically popped out. Like they had some funny moments that I laughed about, even though I thought it was kind of corny, but I was really impressed. And honestly, it's the first time I actually thought to myself, I think Nintendo won this.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, trust me. Here's the thing is that I'm a Zelda fanboy. I'm a freaking Nintendo fanatic. I have the tattoos to prove this one, and I will show them. So help me God. So
if I had to grade the Nintendo presentation, I graded an A. I just think it was on point, especially compared to compared to their past ones. I mean, do I need to remind everybody about last year's E3 Nintendo presentation?
It was all right last year, but they had a lot of stuff for The Legend of Zelda, and they were talking about... But even though this is what Nintendo's strategy is that they're not really going for the whole shebang at E3, which is what everybody is doing. Everybody blows their load at E3. But that's what they did. Even if they did pre-record it, they had hype moments. They had good moments to it. Like, again, Metroid 4, that took me by surprise. I had no idea this was coming out. Same thing with their with other different elements that they're adding into it. But the thing is that Nintendo does it every quarter now with their Nintendo Directs, and that's really what that's doing. So what they were kind of going for this E3 was they're showing off the games that they've been showing off throughout the different quarters for it. So when you have Pokken Tournament that's actually there, you have ARMS that's there so that they could have like the actual stuff. Their strategy that they're doing is quite amazing if you actually ask me. So that's what I'm saying. It's good, but I would not go as far as this was a showstopper for them. They've had better E3s as far as that's concerned, but they definitely went a very smart, strategic way, especially with the Switch being so portable, being so new. They're actually coming out with a lot of multiplayer games for on the go, such as Pokken Tournament, such as Super Street Fighter 2, stuff like that for it. So that's where I'm kind of like, don't get me wrong, they did awesome. I loved it. But again, I don't think it was they won the show. Honestly.
You know what it is? It's that there's a lot of new games coming out on there that I really want. And I was really hyped and excited for it. And Sony, with their presentation, sure, there was a couple in there, like Spider-Man looked really cool, I'm not going to lie. but I already knew about a lot of the games, so I already went through that hype moment before. So for me, I guess I was just a little more excited watching Nintendo's because I wasn't expecting anything spectacular, and instead I found myself like containing my I was around a bunch of other like people and patients, and I was just like I was like trying to contain myself, like watching this. I had like headphones in my, plugged into my phone watching it. So I guess that's just kind of my perspective why I was more hype about it, because they have a lot of new stuff, because they have a new console, where as opposed to PlayStation, like Sony's been busy trying to get those games out from last year. So it's, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yep. Yeah, but also one thing that you kind of saw coming from a mile away, and anybody can call my bullshit on this one, but is that everybody knew that they were going to show something for Super Mario Odyssey, which again, was amazing and fun.
Zelda and Odyssey. I mean, they said it in the beginning. They already said that they were going to, like before E3, that they were going to show more of Super Mario Odyssey. So I was expecting that. And I mean, I guess this wasn't really, you know what, I'm not going to bring it up because this, even though it's a Switch game, it was in another presentation, so I won't bring it up.
I talked about Mario and Rabbids.
I am talking about Mario and Rabbids.
People are talking about that game a lot, and they're actually quite shocked. They're like, "Oh wow, this looks like it looks like an XCOM game. I want to play it."
XCOM with Mario and the Rabbids.
So here's the thing: if they can make Mario and Rabbids, they can make Mario and Pokemon. You have no idea how much I want that to happen.
I don't think Mario's going to capture anything in a Pokeball. I think he's going to jump on Pikachu when he gets a chance.
Man, you just don't know. You don't know. With all the crazy things Nintendo can do, I think they can make it happen.
It can happen, but here's to take the Dr. Ian Malcolm approach on this one. They have to stop and ask themselves, should they do this? Not so much can they do this.
No, but in all seriousness, Mario and Rabbids, I mean, that took me by surprise. I was like, what in the world? But, it looks fun, so I'll probably get it. But yeah, that's my opinion. I really just, honestly, I thought Nintendo did a really fantastic job at this year's E3. I thought they were on point. The end, that's...
Okay, so... to wrap things up about the Big 3 conference.
Well, what about Mark? Mark, do you have an opinion? I don't want to forget about Mark.
Yeah, we don't want to forget about Mark. He's been sitting there quietly, patiently.
I let everybody have their say. I was mostly ambivalent with the Nintendo conference, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm not necessarily super invested in Nintendo properties in general. Zelda doesn't really do anything for me. Mario doesn't really do anything for me. Kirby is fine, but platformers in general are a thing that have passed to the wayside for me. I appreciate the announcement of a more traditional Pokemon game for the Switch. I appreciate the announcement or the expansion of information on Fire Emblem Warriors. The biggest and brightest announcement for me was Metroid Prime 4, which I thought was great. The most concerning announcements for me was one that was at the show, which was the Metroid 2 remake, and one that came after the show, not from Nintendo directly, but from Capcom, where they've indicated that Monster Hunter World is going to be their big thing, and they're not bringing Monster Hunter XX over.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Yeah, I didn't hear that either.
That was just within the past hour.
I gotcha.
So I just want to hit.
They're not bringing it to Switch.
No, not at this point.
Well, thank God the Switch is region free.
So here's my
that's
2 cents.
Surprising.
My 2 cents on both of those. On the Metroid 2 remake, I think Metroid 2 was a good game, and I'm glad that people are optimistic for that remake. But I do want to remind everyone, Mercury Steam is not a good developer.
Yeah,
they have done nothing. They have done nothing to indicate that they have the capability of pulling off a game that is as ambitious as this is going to be. And I want to be 100% clear here. Because I've mentioned this on Twitter, and people called me out on it. I said, the best game that they made was the original Lords of Shadow, which, for reasons that to this day are beyond me, some people liked. But they also made Mirror of Fate, which was the two-dimensional side-scrolling sequel that nobody liked, and Lords of Shadow 2, a game that nobody liked so hard that it ended the fucking Castlevania franchise. And they also made Clive Barker's Jericho, which nobody liked. So it's important to note they are not a good developer. Now, people have argued with me that Nintendo is the creative lead on this, but I do want to point out Nintendo were the creative leads on Metroid Other M.
And that game was shit.
Mechanically, it was fine. Team Ninja did great. The narrative was fucking awful, and that was entirely Nintendo's fault. I do not feel like them being the creative leads on this game guarantees that this game is going to be any good. I also want to note that it looked fine in like 5-10 minutes we got to see of it, but there were moments in the Lords of Shadow demo that I played at E3 back in 2010 that made me think that game was going to be good, and then I played the entire game and it wasn't. There are moments in Mirrors of Fate that individually, taken in a vacuum, are fine, but that game overall is not very good. I'm not saying don't want that game. I'm not saying immediately that it's going to be bad. I just want to temper everybody's enthusiasm for that remake with the very real possibility that it might fucking suck. It might be terrible. And I want you to know that going in. This was not a good choice of developer for Nintendo to attach themselves to. I, honest to Christ, don't know why they picked Mercury Steam of all the companies in the world, and I honestly wish they hadn't. I hope that it's good, but if it's not, I don't want anybody to be disappointed. So just remember, Mercury Steam is not good. Regarding the other point, yeah, fucking one of my friends on Twitter has been just throwing a goddamn fit about this for like 20 minutes. And listen, this is not new, okay? Capcom doesn't release every single Monster Hunter in the U.S. that they release in Japan because the U.S. market can't sustain that. It's not a financially viable thing for them to do.
It's a co-following.
It's not even just that. Like, the games make money. The games do sell well, but like, this is not Call of Duty. You know, Monster Hunter is not a game that can sustain yearly releases, or in this case, 2 or 3 different releases in the span of a calendar year. It's not smart for them to do that. Realistically speaking, it is in their best interests to focus on one game. Given the choice, if you're asking which should they focus on, the game that can appear on multiple different platforms or the game that can appear on the Nintendo consoles that is just an update of generations, a game we already got, I'm going to focus on the new one. Further to the point, and this is really important, I think, the Switch right now has maybe 3 million units installed worldwide. Yes, it's still constantly sold out. That doesn't mean shit. It's possible Nintendo will get that to a 10 million installed user base by the end of the year. Is that a guarantee? Probably not. And you're talking about they're pitching it to the 3DS, which is a 60 million installed user base, and the Switch, which is maybe a 10 million installed user base, versus pitching it to, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC, where they stand some possibility of actually getting a larger base, especially if they can get it out, into the PC market. Like, personally speaking, I understand that you would want Double X, but this is not new. Nintendo swapped from the PSP to the 3DS years ago, and they've released 2 console Monster Hunters, one for the Wii and one for the Wii U, that didn't make them a whole lot of money. If I'm Nintendo, World is going to be the one I'm going to bet the farm on. And frankly, I've been wanting a legit designed for console Monster Hunter for years at this point. So I feel bad for you that you're losing out to this, but I can't empathize with people who are that fucking angry because, I mean, I didn't get that pissed when it moved over to the 3DS, so don't know what to tell you. Sorry.
Sorry, bro.
I mean, like I said, I'm surprised that they're not moving the new Monster Hunter over to the Switch, but I mean,
I feel like World may eventually find its way to the Switch, but I feel like World is the one that's replacing the PC one, the PC and Xbox 360 one that they did.
Frontier.
I mean, the thing is though, it's not just that. Keep in mind, Capcom has a partnership with PlayStation right now, so a lot of Capcom games are gonna become PlayStation 4 exclusive. So it really doesn't surprise me that right now, Monster Hunter 4 World or whatever, that just totally came out wrong, but you know what I meant,
Yeah.
is not going to be on a Nintendo system. That's just like they've been partnering with PlayStation for the last couple of years. At least since last year, haven't they?
For various and sundry different things, yeah.
Well, in the beginning, it was just they partnered for Street Fighter V, but I'm sure they have partnered on multiple things at this point, just because everything seems to be exclusive to PlayStation coming out of Capcom right now. Except, I don't think Marvel's Capcom Infinite, that's not exclusive, or is it exclusive to PS4?
No, it is not exclusive. It's just that I think that they have like the first launch on it because it is coming out on the Xbox One, and I think it's at PC as well.
Right. Well, my point was, I'm not surprised I'm surprised a little bit, but at the same time, I'm also not because of their current relationship with PlayStation. But yeah.
Okay.
But I see what you're saying, Mark.
All right, so before we move on to the rest of the conferences that were by Ubisoft, EA, and all of them, who would you say was probably the best of the top three? And what would you? And we didn't do it for the last two, so you pick your game, your best pick game for Sony and Nintendo. We'll start with Mark.
Conference winner, I would say. Personally, Sony. I know a lot of people are going to go Nintendo, and that's fine. Personally, I thought it was Sony. As far as conference winners for Sony and Nintendo, Sony as just an overall pick, as like an exclusive pick, personally, I'm going to go either Shadow of the Colossus or Spider-Man. If we're talking overall, I'm leaning towards Monster Hunter World. Nintendo, Metroid Prime 4.
Okay. Keith.
Okay, so I'm actually going to side with Mark on this one, is that I actually really thought that Sony was the one that brought their A game to everything. They showed nothing but the actual game, so I think they actually won the actual conference. Don't get me wrong, Nintendo brought a very good game, but I think overall it was very, very good showmanship. The games spoke for themselves. They didn't really need to have too much. And plus also they kind of acknowledged a lot of like the fans. Again, in the beginning, they were like, we have great titles. And that's really what they're doing. They're making great strides for that. As far as the game that kind of stood out the most for me, I mean, there were so many good ones. Monster Hunter, like Mark said, and then, of course, you have God of War, which also looks really, even though there wasn't really too much gameplay on it, was just a real actual trailer versus anything else. Then, if anything, the one game that I'm pretty excited for, and it actually kind of makes me hopeful, is Spider-Man, just because I really would like to see an actual good Spider-Man game, because that has
Spider-Man
not really...
Arkham City?
Yeah, pretty much. I was just gonna say that.
That's true. They're taking
it looked
but
amazing
it works.
regardless.
It works, so you can't take that away from them. And plus, also in this particular situation, because I mean, Spider-Man does have super spider senses, so a lot of QuickTime events can be that. Will it be gimmicky? Probably. Is it gonna be open world? I have no effing clue. But
actually,
what's up?
One thing I wanted to say was, some of the people that worked on Arkham City are working on this game, Spider-Man game as well.
That's hilarious, because I made a joke yesterday on Facebook. I'm saying, hey, plot twist, some of the guys from Rocksteady are working on Spider-Man. I didn't think that'd be true, and you're just telling me this is happening. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so that also might be another reason why it's reminding a lot of people of Arkham City, because it probably some of the same people that worked on Arkham City are working on this game as well. So
you know what? I have to ask now. I mean, granted, we got the Platinum Games Ninja Turtle game. When the hell is Rocksteady going to talk about the Ninja Turtle game they were supposed to work on, or was that canceled? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Because that was something they talked about at least a couple years ago, and I'm guessing it got scrapped because have heard nothing about it since. They were going to do like an open world Ninja Turtles game, but oh well.
That was one of the games I was really looking forward to because I would really, again, like to see a good Spider-Man game regardless of it, but I think it kind of works in this context, especially for Spider-Man, and since that they're kind of doing like the reboot of all Spider-Man right now, so that's kind of intriguing to me, to say the least. For Nintendo, holy crap. Wow, that's a lot. That's a really tough pill to swallow. I'm not sure. There were so many good announcements. Metroid 4 was definitely cool. I'm really intrigued about the DLC for The Legend of Zelda. But I would really say that the show stealer for me was Super Mario Odyssey, which again, going into the conference, I knew that was going to be it, but that really grabbed my attention, and I was really excited for it. So.
Okay. And Emily.
All right, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. So while I always normally pick Sony and always enjoy Sony's presentations and their conferences, I really do. And I thought, even though it wasn't as quote-unquote hype and had a lot of new stuff as last year, I still think they did a pretty solid conference. And I would have picked them as first in this, but I really want to give props to Nintendo. So I'm going to say the Nintendo one, because in my eyes, because they really stepped it up this year. The last two or three E3s have been kind of mad for them. Sure, they had some exciting stuff, but it really wasn't like, I'm not really sure how to explain it, but it was kind of meh. But they just stepped it up this year, and I think they need to get a little bit of credit for stepping up. They have a lot of really new and exciting games coming out, and so I'm going to give them first. But Sony is trailing behind by just a little bit. I mean, really, if I could give them both a tie, I would. So I'm going to. Sony and Nintendo tied for me. Me personally. So I'm going to say they're actually a tie. And then other game developers, and then Microsoft. Mm-hmm. I honestly would probably put Microsoft closer to the bottom.
All right, for me, I would say of the big three, I would definitely go Sony first, and then followed by Nintendo. Nintendo would be first in my opinion, but the thing is that their presentation was only...
You didn't let me pick my games, FYI.
The big gap right there. You could have said something, but go ahead.
I just remembered.
Oh.
So, I'm just saying.
Do I have to start reminding you? Hey.
No, I'm just tired, all right? I work a lot. All right. For PlayStation, for Sony's, I'm going to have to go with God of War, because I am a huge God of War fan. So I'm really excited for God of War. And I'm going to throw some Crash in there. I'm super excited for the Crash End trilogy. And Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
And Monster Hunter. So I guess that's like, what, 4 or 5? There's probably a couple more in there. And Nintendo, definitely Super Mario Odyssey. And also the new Yoshi game. I'm a big fan of Yoshi. And I was just talking about how I just wish they would remake Yoshi's Story, the N64 game. I love that game. Granted, this is probably not Yoshi's Story, just because I could just tell it wasn't, but still, it's a new Yoshi game, and I am super excited for it to see what they come up with. So there. Now, you may speak now, Rob. I give you permission.
That's okay. But anyways, I was going to say, in terms of Nintendo not being higher or going over Sony for this year, I would say mainly it's because Nintendo's presentation was short. It was 30 minutes long, 35, 40 or something like that. They only showed 6 games, and then they had one major game announcement. And yeah, as we know, as you pointed out, Emily, that they're going to be doing the streaming for the next couple of days, showcasing stuff like we learned about Metroid, the Metroid 2 remake, Metroid Samus Returns, and a bunch of other things. So they're probably going to announce more stuff, more things as time goes on. But
I think it's mostly going to be for the tournaments that they're doing. To be honest with you,
there's going to be
but
that
they
too.
may have a lot more stuff
doing,
to reveal. But
yeah, they're doing a Splatoon tournament. They're doing a Smash tournament and a Pokken tournament as well.
Invitationals.
Yep. So on top of that, I would say Sony just really did a great job with, showing off like games. Like, I mean, sure, there was some of the stuff like as we mentioned earlier in the show, that stuff that was like mentioned last year, but they expanded upon it like this year by longer presentations, more gameplay showing off and whatnot. Like Detroit looked amazing in my opinion. God of War, I mean, we saw a little snippet of it last year, and we got like a huge gameplay trailer of it this year, and it looked amazing. For me though, Monster Hunter World definitely took it for me. And
we're getting the band back together.
Yeah, we're getting everybody's going to be online, increasing their hunter ranks. For Nintendo, I would have to say the game that I would have to pick, if it was within the presentation. Otherwise, I would just say Metroid Samus Returns right away. Regardless of the fact of how bad the developer is, I want to hold on to that sliver of hope, Mark. Please give this to me.
Hey, man. Denial is a river. Just make sure you don't drown in it. That's all I'm saying.
Just throw me a flotation device, please.
No.
But I want to say, yeah, definitely I'm in the same camp as everybody else. The new Mario Odyssey just looks amazing. I mean, the last trailer they showed when they debuted the game was like, it was kind of like, oh, Mario's in the real world, okay. And then the next day we saw a bunch of Grand Theft Auto 5 trailer mods making fun of it, which was kind of hilarious. And then now we just saw the trailer earlier this morning, and the game just looks amazing. It looks fun. It looks like it definitely captures like all the creativity that's ever been out there for Mario. Everything from like Mario Sunshine to Mario 64 to Mario's 3D World that we recently had on the Wii U. It just looks like a lot of fun. I love the new gameplay aspect where you actually throw your hat and you can actually capture and control everything from like a person in the real world.
There you go, Pokemon.
I like that you can see. I'm telling you, they could do it. I like the fact that you could like disguise yourself too, and like turn into other like enemies, like to like hide yourself so that like they don't try to like come after you, like
kind of like a Tanuki suit type of thing, right?
Yeah, like I was like, ooh, I'm like, that's clever. Like all you saw were their eyes and like the hat on top of it, but like the enemies were too dumb to realize that it was like someone disguised as them.
Yeah,
like that looks like fun to me. Like
I just like Kirby. It's like you can never
honestly,
tell which
I won't. Yeah, like I won't even like get through the level. I'll just be too busy like turning into like enemies, because then just dance around them. Like, hey.
Yeah. If there's one thing I do want to say that Nintendo had that was better than Sony, is the fact that majority of the games that they promoted are coming out mostly this year, as opposed to Sony's games, which are coming out beginning of 2018, mid 2018. Like we got Mario coming out in October, we got Metroid coming out in September, we got a couple of other games coming out probably holiday season this year. So they at least are promoting the games that are coming out soon, which is pretty much what really E3 should be about, which is kind of like what Microsoft did. And Microsoft is going to be at the bottom of the barrel for the top three. I mean, they had a decent enough presentation, in my personal opinion. And even though they didn't,
all I'm going to say is
they stretched,
Ubisoft kicked their asses.
yeah, Ubisoft did a great job. In fact, we're going to move on to that right now.
Ubisoft did a really good job. But
all right, here we go. Let's actually segue into now the other conferences real quick.
Bethesda has one game in it that just trumps all.
Let's just say the one game right now, and Mark wants to get this done and over with right now. Let's talk about Ubisoft. Okay, they announced fucking Beyond Good and Evil 2. Mark, just say what you want to say. Let's get it done and over with.
I feel like your appreciation of Ubisoft's press thing hinges entirely upon whether or not Beyond Good and Evil 2 was a game that you give a shit about.
I do give a shit about it.
I don't. I do not care about Beyond Good and Evil 2. I will never care about Beyond Good and Evil 2. But I'm glad that they announced it.
I didn't play the first one, so.
I know
Yeah.
you don't really care about it, which is why. But I do know that you are tired of hearing about it, which is why we're going to get it done and over with right now.
I am glad that it's coming out. I want all of the people who were fans of the first game to be able to play the second game, and I hope that it is a success, and I hope that it moves multiple millions of copies, and I hope that it makes enough so that Ubisoft can eventually put it into their rotation as a franchise so that I never have to hear about it ever again.
Because what did you say? If something becomes extremely popular, you'll hear about it less, or you won't hear about it.
Oh yeah, like I rarely see tweets about Call of Duty. I rarely see stuff people talking about Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, except when a new game is coming out. But fuck me if you don't hear about Beyond Good and Evil all the goddamn time from people, and it's just like.
All right, so
maybe I would feel different if it was like, Snatcher or Earthbound or a game that I cared about, but it's not. So I hope that the game comes out. I hope it does really well, and I'm glad for all of the people who will be able to play it, but it is absolutely not my thing. And I think if you take Beyond Good and Evil 2 out of the equation, Ubisoft's press event was a whole lot of nothing.
No, I think they actually had a lot of stuff
I
they
would
did.
disagree with you on that, but okay.
They definitely had a lot of stuff, like what was it, the Pirates game that's pretty much just hey, let's take the pirate segments out of Assassin's Creed 3 and
Skull and Bones is what it's called.
Pretty much, yeah. Let's take the pirate element out and actually make a game around it. That looked really, really good. They had a lot of other games, like let's be honest. Who the hell would have thought that Mario and the Rabbids game would be so?
I wasn't
good.
that.
All right, you
that
know
was
what?
so out of left field for me. I was not expecting it, and I was like, ooh, a Mario game, and all of a sudden, one of the rabbits in a Luigi outfit popped his head up. I'm like, okay, that is not that's not the Mario I was thinking.
That's not Luigi. What the hell?
It's completely. And then oh my god, Peach as a rabbit I was dying. I was
taking
cracking up
selfies
so
with
hard.
herself and everything.
Oh
Mark,
my god,
you're being
so
a fan of
funny.
XCOM. Does this interest you at all?
It was really weird, but it was entertaining, and it was so entertaining that I want to play it.
I will give them the benefit of the doubt. An XCOM style Mario and Rabbids turn-based strategy game is interesting. I got burned out on the Rabbids back during there could not go a single fucking year without a Rabbids game on the Wii push that they were doing. But
and then they had a cartoon series.
Yeah, it's just I got burned out on the Rabbids as a media property. They're basically Ubisoft's answer to the Minions, but I will give them the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah,
the game looks interesting. The game looks interesting, and it's probably one of the very few games I've seen that would sell me on buying a Switch. I would also concede that Skull and Bones potentially looks interesting as a concept. I don't necessarily know how good I feel about the fact that Ubisoft listened to people who were saying, just make that for a fucking game. Stupid. But, whatever as far as that goes, that looks neat, and I'm willing to wait and see on that. But I mean, outside of those two, what did they have, really? They had an Assassin's Creed game.
Well, they had The Crew 2 they showed off.
Far Cry 5.
Far Cry 5, and they also showed off this new space game called Starlink.
And they also have a new
South
game
Park.
they also have a
Yes,
South Park, and they also
The
have
Fractured But Whole, which is fucking hilarious.
They also have a new psychological thriller virtual reality game called Transference, which I would like to learn more about because we didn't really get a lot on it.
Can we also talk about the most important factor that happened at Ubisoft's thing? The fact that Miyamoto showed up and was goofing around on stage with the creators at Ubisoft.
I thought that was awesome.
Oh, there was Crew 2 as well, which I don't really care that much about. Oh, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Right. I mean, it's Transference I'll give you because you own PlayStation VR. I feel like PlayStation VR is going to be a niche thing just because there are very few people who own it. Going back to Assassin's Creed is not a place I was necessarily going to be invested in. The Crew 2 is not a place that I was necessarily going to be invested in. No. I have reservations about South Park, The Fractured But Whole, and this is the third E3 that we've seen something about that now. So that's not going to impress me until that game actually comes out at this point.
And they're coming out with the cell phone game as well, the Phone Destroyer.
Yeah, and Far Cry 5, like, I appreciate the idea of what they're trying to do with it, like putting it, in rural America and doing something narratively interesting with it, but it's fucking Far Cry. We're going to be climbing up on towers and fucking shooting people with guns and trying to do fucking novel shit to take over different locations. We've seen that like 3 different times now from that 4 if you count Blood Dragon. Like it's the sun rising and setting at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
but what about, let's say, the other games like the Starlink and the Fractured But Whole South Park game? I mean, I know for a fact that you really enjoyed the last South Park game.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Oh gosh.
South Park: The Fractured But Whole was being developed by a completely different team from the one who developed the original game. The original game, as we will recall, was developed by, I want to say, Obsidian?
Yes.
Who quietly went from being one of the more problematic developers to being one of the best developers of RPGs on the marketplace today. And it took mechanics that were like decidedly simplistic enough to work for the sort of game this needed to be, and basically created what I felt was lightning in a bottle. If they had brought back that particular development team, I would be probably a lot more invested than I actually am about it. But they have kind of put it to Ubisoft San Francisco, a development group so utterly unfucking notable that if you click on their link in Wikipedia, it redirects back to the Ubisoft main page.
Oh gosh.
Oh man.
Well, maybe
Alright,
Fresh Blood
that's-
will do something good for it.
Yeah, you don't know. Maybe.
I mean, at one point, Obsidian was a nobody, remember? So, hey.
Oh yeah, like all of that Fresh Blood did really well in making Mass Effect Andromeda, right?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Right. It's like, this is my thing. We don't even know what they've made, but the fact that they've been putting so much effort into that, like the only things that I know about that they definitively have made is Rocksmith. And like, whether or not you like Rocksmith, like that's, you're going from a game where you play guitar as a rhythm property to a fairly complicated RPG that is going to be a sequel to one of the most surprising success stories in recent memory. It's like, I'm not saying they can't do it. I am just tempered in my expectations because, like, it's not the same development house. The game has been in development for a while now, and this is, again, like the third E3 we've seen something about it on. I want to wait until it actually comes out before I get excited. It's not on my pre-order list. I'm just going to wait on it.
Okay. So, but, I mean, in my opinion, though, I'm really gonna like hold out and hope that the game turns out to be really well. It already looks like it's got I mean, the story and all that is really done by the duo over at South Park. So it's
South Park and Trey Parker, so it's gonna have a decent story to it. But like the mechanics, like he's saying, it's making me kind of but I don't know. It should be interesting, to say the least.
It is true. But now the rest of pretty much Ubisoft's conference was like aside of the obvious games like the Assassin's Creed and the Crew, it was just like par for the course. But everything else, like I actually have to say, out of the majority of the games from all the other press conferences, I think there's more games from Ubisoft that I want to play than I do at the Sony press conference or even the Nintendo's press conference. I can actually say I'd like to play more than half of the games that they showed off. Anybody else? No?
I wouldn't go to that extreme, but there are a lot of good games on there.
Honestly, there's probably more Nintendo games right now that I want to play more than anything, with Sony being in a close second, just because I already have half of them pre-ordered.
I mean,
like Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle was exciting to me. Absolutely nothing else here got me going in any capacity. Sorry.
I'm interested in the Skull and Bones. I mean, I
I'm a
kind of need a Pirates
curious
game.
about. I'm a little curious about Skull and Bones.
I've been wanting a good Pirates action game for a while now. We haven't had really a decent one since fucking Blackthorn. Yeah, Mario and Rabbids. I mean, I'll be willing to check out Starlink. I mean, that looks interesting. South Park. Far Cry is probably going to still be a phenomenal game, despite the fact that's probably just like Mark says, it's a night and day, the sunrise sunset type of thing. Beyond Good and Evil 2. I mean, we got an amazing trailer. And believe it or not, I mean, I'm hyped up for this game, but I'm not as hyped up as I thought I was, because I was just like, oh, this is awesome. They finally announced it. Okay, I guess I'm just gonna wait until the fucking thing comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, like literally, like I got excited. I made one post and I haven't said shit about it since. I guess that surprises you a little bit, Mark.
No, I kind of figured that's going to be the way it's going to be for a lot of people. They've got the announcement, but we've had announcements about that game multiple fucking times, and then nothing happened with it.
Yeah,
but so it's kind of a case where it's like, you know, there's a certain amount of tempered expectations amongst the fan base, but also further to the point,
but it's
you're getting what you wanted now. It's like,
yeah,
oh, all right, you know.
But it's almost similar into the same vein as, let's say, Shenmue 3, because off and on there were rumors of it probably coming back for like going as far back as 10 years ago or so, and then 2 years ago we finally got the Kickstarter going. But I was 10 times more hyped up for Shenmue than I was for the announcement of Beyond Good and Evil last night. So I don't know. I mean, these are two franchises that I really enjoyed, but I think I might be more interested in Shenmue. But anyway, I mean, we're actually kind of running low on time here. I do want to continue going on, but I think we might have to save the rest of the conferences for another time. Do you guys want to say anything else before we possibly wrap up, or did you want to keep going for a little bit longer? Emily?
I want to say something.
Yes.
I realized that this game, at least the first one, was a collected taste. Sometimes a lot of people liked it, and then there were a lot of people that didn't. I personally loved The Evil Within, and I thought the Evil Within 2 trailer that Bethesda showed was freaking awesome, and I am super excited that they're making a sequel, and I can't wait to play it because it's coming out this year in October at the end. That's all I want to say. I don't know if anybody else here has played The Evil Within, but I was a big fan of the game.
I was interested at one point, but I just forgot about it.
Yeah,
I only played it at night, and I was a big fan of the game, and I am super excited that they are making a sequel for it. The milk people were a little freaky.
I wonder if they'll have a VR mode and you're going to stream it again and we're going to watch you freak out.
You know what, though? If they have a VR mode in this game, this game is scarier than Resident Evil. Like, I mean, it just, at least it was for me when I played it. I thought it was scarier. So, I can't imagine, like, it's like a lot of, like, dead people and zombies in it, but it has elements that remind you of Silent Hill in it. So, it was scary for me when I played. Especially the section with there were just these dead clowns. I was not happy with the clown section.
The dead clowns almost the little clowns almost remind you of the scary little children from the first Silent Hill.
Well, I see. I'm terrified of clowns. Like, I hate clowns. Like, they scare the living shit out of me. So, like, whenever I'm playing,
to start quoting it right now just to mess with you.
You should see me, because it is one of the reasons why I hate clowns. That movie is one of them, and I love horror films. So, like, I'm trying to work up the courage to see the remake this October, but I don't know if I can do it.
They all float down here, Georgie.
You'll float too.
But in all seriousness, I just wanted to touch base on that. If you are a big fan of The Evil Within, or you're even thinking about playing it, they are coming out with the sequel. The trailer was pretty awesome. I enjoyed it. You will see that there are a lot of titles that talk about the milk people, and you have to see the trailer to understand. And honestly, at first when I saw milk people in The Evil Within 2, I'm like, what? But when I played it, I saw what they meant, and actually, it was kind of creepy when you thought about it. So.
If anything, one thing I'm surprised you did not bring up in any way, shape, or form, Emily, is the fact that they're going to have the Legend of Zelda content in the Elder Scrolls, which get me total gimmick.
Honestly?
I understand. Money making
Elder
stream.
Scrolls. What about Skyrim?
Skyrim is Elder Scrolls.
Oh my god.
Derp derp. Derp 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 derp.
But yes,
and you know what? I'm going to be a sucker. I'm buying Skyrim for the Switch anyway because
exactly. I'm buying it now just because of
I'm
that.
buying
like,
it just
you had
because
me now.
I'm not buying it because of the amiibo compatibility. I'm buying it because it's Skyrim on the go.
I need to go to bed. I need to go to bed.
All right,
Did you like Elder Scrolls? I'm like, what is he talking about? That's the.
All right, so let's get final thoughts. We already got yours, Emily. How about you, Keith?
Well, this is really the first actual day of the show. Lots of cool things have been announced so far. I think that this show is going to probably be decent this year. That's the word I'm really going for is decent. I don't think it's going to be great, but it's going to be decent. A lot of this stuff looks promising, though. I want to see what's actually on the floor within the next day or two as well for it to come out and see what else is coming out for that and see what other cool little shenanigans may happen.
All right. And Mark, for you?
I mean, I don't really feel like I have any particular final thoughts. Out of all the other things outside of what we talked about that have come out so far, the most notable stuff that come out of Bethesda was the Evil Within 2 and the new Wolfenstein game, which apparently Nazis are really mad about. And we now exist in a world where it's okay to say that kind of shit, I guess. EA, the entirety of what they had was story modes in sports games for some weird reason, and Anthem, which is absolutely not a game I ever wanted to see from BioWare, and am not 100% not interested in. And the only thing Square Enix has talked about at this point is Agents of Mayhem, which is basically Saints Row, so I'll buy it, and Final Fantasy XIV, which is mostly only interesting to me and, my friends. So,
well, we did get a Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer with no release date, so at least we got more than we got before. So
yeah, like the third year in a row they talked about Kingdom Hearts.
All right,
yeah, but
I think we're all in agreement that
on that too.
I think before we leave, I think we're all in agreement that Bubsy the Bobcat is coming back with probably the best game ever, right?
Absolutely.
Go fuck yourself.
Sure, whatever you say, Rob.
Actually, no. Here's the thing. There's a good chance that Bubsy could be a really good game because the developers of the Gianna Sisters Twisted Dreams is the ones making the Bubsy game, and that Gianna game is fucking awesome. I bought it 4 times on different platforms, so there is a good chance it could be a good game.
Okay.
Sure.
Fuck you.
When I dream, I want a pony.
Mark, you have a pony. I've been to your house.
I have no idea what the fuck you're on about.
Yeah, really. I don't know what that stuff that you're smoking right now there, brother, but no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Wait, just out of curiosity, have any of you played The Evil Within? Or am I the only one?
I played like 3 chapters. I played like 3 chapters into it. It's fine, but it's just not...
You didn't like it?
No. I feel like it just didn't particularly speak to me. It's fine. Okay. It just it never latched into me to a point where I felt the need to run through and complete it, basically.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
All right. So anyway, as we end the show, ladies and gentlemen, this is Fight Club Hubs. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and our next show will be on June 26th, which we will resume on Mondays afterwards. Next week,
and I can talk about ARMS.
Yes, you will talk about whatever you want.
And it'll probably be our post E3 show.
Yeah, we might actually continue on and talk a little bit more about E3 because we're going to be probably getting some more announcements coming from Nintendo as they do their little Treehouse of Love streams and talking about new games and IPs and whatever.
Treehouse of Love.
Whatever they call their stream.
Nintendo's Treehouse.
Yes. Anyway,
Treehouse Live.
Yeah.
We called it Treehouse of Love, so I was like,
Well,
I was thinking about calling it Treehouse of Horror and just somehow get Simpsons in there, but anyway, moving on as we end the show, let's get some plugs in. Mark, would you like to plug anything?
No, I still am in the process of trying to edit together the one fucking fucked up podcast that I have. So, at the moment, nothing.
Not even your stream?
No, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do it this weekend. I didn't do it last weekend because it was E3 and nobody showed up, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this weekend because I'm going to fucking Canada for 3 days. So, no, nothing.
Okay, Emily, anything for you to show off? No, you don't have a stream or anything planned?
At the moment.
Actually, you want to talk? We have one thing that me and Emily are actually working
Okay,
on.
all right, yeah, I guess we could bring that up, but...
Really?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh.
We have a project. We'll keep everybody in suspense on it, but we're working on possibly something, see what comes out of it, but stay tuned to more information on it, really.
Yeah, that was very...
Very
I feel like you got everybody excited. They're like, all right, he's going to give us a little bit. You're like, yeah, we're working on something. Stay tuned. Bye. That's like pretty much what you just did. Because Rob's like, ooh, really? And I'm like, all right, so I'll just let Keith talk about this. And he goes, yeah,
we're doing something.
Fine.
Well, here. I'll give you an idea. Me and Keith are doing something too. Tomorrow, me and Keith are going to be doing Sonic Month Game Jam. We're going to continue on by playing the brand new Sonic Time Twisted, which is a fan game that just came out a couple of months ago, which is supposed to pretty much have the exact same physics as past Sonic the Hedgehog games. So it's going to be very interesting. It'll be our first time playing it. What else I have going up on Thursday? The Three Vets and a Noob will be streaming, yes, but we will not have our noob in town because he is currently over at E3 as well, our little Rico. So instead, we're going to do kind of like a pre-Father's Day type of thing. I'm going to get my dad, my brother involved, my buddy Lance and his dad are going to get involved. We're all going to play co-op Quake on stream.
Nice.
Yeah, so we tested this out. We downloaded the Ultimate Quake patch so we can all play online, forwarded the ports we needed, and holy crap, we actually managed to finish the first chapter of Quake in like under 20 minutes.
Hey, Keith, we should give him something.
Yes, I was about to say, I'll give
right
you guys a little hint. It's pretty much, it may have to deal with The Legend of Zelda and a lot more talks and in-depth analysis on it.
And there might be more stuff in the future on top of that, depending on how this goes.
Exactly.
Okay, and the final thing I'm going to plug in is, of course, my bi-weekly Dead or Alive tournaments are back. We had the last one last Monday. Next one is going to be this upcoming Monday at 8:35 p.m. I'm starting it a little early because I don't want to have this thing running into midnight. And Keith, besides the thing you have with Emily, are you going to be coming back to streaming?
Eventually, yes, but again, it's still one of these things. I'm trying to get all my collective shit together on this one and try to make it a little bit more stream, because it's like I'm kind of looking at it. It's like I kind of suck at video games, but I love them so much. So it's like I'm trying to figure out what I have to offer and kind of hone it in onto this one particular thing. So hopefully,
Actually, yeah. No, I'm sorry. I was waiting for you to finish, Keith. Go ahead.
no, that's what I was going to say, is that I'm just trying to hone in onto whatever it is that I can hone in onto and then take it from there for it. I'm really trying to reestablish the image, so I'm just going to be on multiple things at this time until I kind of figure out my path on that.
All right. So
I'm gonna plug a couple more fighting game things if I can, because
Go ahead.
normally I do and I didn't. Okay, so as some of you guys are new, so you might not know that I work for Biggie Gaming, and we run some of the most fun and largest fighting game tournaments on the East Coast in the U.S. Woo! Okay, that being said, we are doing Broad Street Battles, which is a part of the Red Bull Proving Grounds, but we also have other fun games during that too. So July 1st is going to be a training session. All of the games that we have for that tournament are free entry. All you have to pay is the venue fee. It's first come, first serve. We have, Street Fighter, Tekken 7. We sort of did kind of talk a little bit about Bethesda, but that's probably going to be on our next show. Just answering his question. We have a lot of fun games, all the new games, and basically they're all capped at 48. And the winner of each game will get a PS4 stick. And there's going to be prize pools for all of them. And then our next one will be in August. That will be back officially into the Red Bull Proving Grounds. And we have also some more exciting stuff announced for Season 2. I just can't say them yet. Also, don't forget to pre-register for Summer Jam 11 if you plan on going to. Injustice 2 is there. Injustice 2 will be at all of our events. And actually, Summer Jam 11 is a Injustice 2 Pro Series premiere event with a $20,000 pop bonus. We're also part of the Tekken World Tour and the Capcom Pro Tour and the Dead or Alive Battle Royale as well, and lots of other fun things. And don't forget to pre-register for TFC, which is also a part of the Tekken World Tour. It's actually a big one for that. And that's all I'm going to plug right now for that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of the show. Thank you, Emily, Keith, and Mark.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please, all you new people, hit that follow button. We do this bi-weekly. GVN Live airs every other Monday at 9 p.m. usually. So please tune in. We have a lot of fun here for the most part. And I want to thank you guys again for just tuning in. And we had a lot of fun. So you all have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Bye.